Welcome back to another Noob Eternally suggestion review. Today, we're going to take a look at this one Nanami suggestion that was sent to me by a viewer called Margeshi, which I found to be pretty interesting. There's quite a bit to say about it, and the author has a clear idea as to what they're going for here, but I do have a lot of concerns specifically about balance because of just how incredibly strong this character is set up to be. Before we get into the video though, make sure to subscribe so that you're up to date on any JJS information. Now, let's get into the video. Starting off with the suggestion, let's look at the passives for the character. First, he has 85 health, which definitely makes him squishy, so one combo is going to deal a lot of damage to Nanami, which is pretty interesting to note. So he's definitely going to have something really strong in his base moveset to make up for that, because otherwise he's not going to be that good. But yeah, like Yuji and Megumi, he definitely is going to have something really good about him, like a good neutral, or, well, both characters have good neutral, so a good neutral to make up for him being squishier than everyone else. As for his archetype, he's a pressure, and his secondary archetype is bait and punish, which, reading the description, I think what the author means is that he's going to be a character that can apply a lot of pressure by rushdowning, but he's also going to have ways to deal with attempts to counterattack, or hyper armor type of moves, though I don't know if hyper armor moves would be added to this game, because Z doesn't actually have those. We'd have to read the suggestion to actually know. As for Nanami's passive, his passive is called Overtime, and the way it works is that when you're above 50% of your HP, you deal 10% less damage, but once you get under 50% of your HP, you deal 10% more damage, and this lasts about 80 seconds after you trigger it. Also, you have the option to not use Overtime by pressing R and blocking, which just makes Nanami deal 100% of his damage output, with Overtime only granting a 1% damage increase instead. So no downside, but you lose the Overtime passive. Now, one thing that's important to note is that since Nanami has less HP than everyone else, it also means it's easier for him to trigger this passive, which I think is a cool thing. It makes him more squishy, but also because he's squishy, it's easier to trigger that glass cannon type of playstyle that he has. Anyways, another part of this that's interesting to note is that if you awaken after you activate Overtime, it'll stay until his awakening ends, and since awakenings heal you, that's really good, so you're definitely going to be encouraged to get low before you use your awakening so that you get that damage buff. Anyways, moving on to the R special, it's called Ratio Technique. If you use R, you can create a weak spot on the opponent, and if you use it effectively, a circle appears on the opponent's body. If you press that with the cursor, kind of like an Osu minigame or something, it'll increase the damage output of the move used in conjunction with it, allowing it to deal critical damage. Also, the move has no cooldown, and it only needs to be used with an ability. To be honest, I don't really like this idea of an R special, and the reason I say this is because it's mostly just free damage, that's all it is. There's no changing to the move, there's no different application, it's just you always want to do this kind of thing because it's just free damage. What I would want to see is something like Silent Heart's Flow State in Deepwoken, if anyone knows I'm referencing there, where you actually end up getting different move timings and stuff to throw off your opponent's parries. It's not an objective buff, but if you use it right, it can help you in a certain situation. Rather than something like this, which is just, you always want to do this, like, that's why I find it boring. It's not like Mahito's Black Flashes, that's a better comparison point for everyone who plays JJS, where the normal version is a combo extender, while the other version, the Black Flash version, is a guard break that also hits ragdolled people. So, like, there's two different versions, and you know, like, this one's good for this situation, this one's good for that situation. This is just a straight buff if you can do the skill check, which it's boring to me. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. As for the first move, it's called Dulled Cleaver. Upon using one, you ready your cleaver and do a 180 spin, after which you strike the opponent, and if you use this attack while M1ing an opponent, it will result in the slash without initiating movement. So basically what they mean by that is the move works in neutral with like a little spin to help you cap close, but if you just decide to use it in someone's face to like combo extend or something, it doesn't go through that, so it's easier to land. Personally, fine with me. It seems like a decent neutral move that also helps you deal some damage in combos too, which is pretty nice. Anyways, as for the second variant, if you use this with the Ratio Technique and the opponent blocks it, then their arm will be disabled, and what that does is disable their block for a short time span and ragdoll the opponent. If the opponent unblocks while the Ratio Technique happens, then they're gonna get stunned by the attack rather than ragdolled. Okay, so the passive above was kind of a lie. It's not just increasing damage, there's some actual effects to it. Besides that, jeez, disabling someone's block is crazy. I really wish they said how long that's gonna last for, because depending on how long it is, that's ridiculous. The thing is, like, the only way to counter a forward dash besides dodging the thing is to block it. And if you disable someone's block, that entire counterplay goes out the window. Especially if Nanami has other moves down here that need to be blocked, they can't counter that if you disable their block, which is insane. And then if they decide not to block it, then they get stunned, and then they get comboed even more heavily. So either way, this is like just a massive screw you attack where you have to dodge it or else you're gonna get screwed over because, yeah. Crazy. It's a really strong move, but I feel like it's unbalanced, especially the disabling block parts. It's a combo extender, that's the main thing. Like, this is a combo extender if you do the ratio technique properly. Decent combo extender. We have to read through the rest of the suggestion to see if it's actually balanced or not. So yeah, let's go. The second move is called Amputate. You aim at the opponent's leg and slash it without any noticeable startup, so sort of like a really quick attack. Probably really close up too, if it's going to be that quick, so Blood Edge maybe. And if you use this with the ratio technique, then this will amputate the opponent's leg, knocking them back, and slowing the opponent down, which lets you pressure even more. So there's a lot of debuffs that this author created, which is interesting, to say the least. Debuffs are not done in this game besides Megumi's Poison, which isn't really a debuff, it's just delayed damage. I don't know how to feel on this, because it seems like it's going to be really annoying to fight and just not fun either. Like, how are you supposed to counterplay if your, like, movement is crippled? He has moves where you have to dodge it, you can't block it. Like, you can't block the first move, because if you block it, then your arm gets cut off and now your block is disabled, and if you don't block it, then you get stunned by the attack. So yeah, it's like these ratio technique versions, which aren't some like meter thing where you like use up Awakening to get it. It's not like that. You just get them if you can do the skill checks. So these are really overpowered, honestly. I just don't see the counterplay. Like, once you get hit by something, you're basically dead because of these debuffs that stop you from basically doing anything about it. So that's my main concern. It's a little bit unbalanced. Also, the cooldowns too. Like, 15 seconds on cooldown on the first move is fine, but a 10-second cooldown on Amputate is crazy low. Like, that's Hikari cooldowns, and it's not much better. The third move is also a 10-second cooldown, so like, he has the Hikari cooldowns, meaning that he's going to always have this kind of pressure. There's never going to be any downtime for Nanami, and I guess that's intentional with the author. He wants him to be a character that can pressure the opponent really well, and you're certainly getting that, but I also don't see how this is balanced, because it seems really unbalanced. You always have these moves first off, then you can also, like, cripple your opponent and stop them from counterplaying your moves. It's just insane. It's way too strong, in my opinion. As for the 3 move, you spin the cleaver in the hand, signifying the startup while you march forward, after which you use the momentum from spinning the cleaver to swing it upwards, like an uppercut, I guess, before you initiate a powerful kick, repelling the opponent forward. After that, if you use it with the ratio technique, the attack won't ragdoll the opponent, and will rather knock the opponent back, similar to Saitama Battlegrounds. Okay, I think you mean the strongest Battlegrounds, but I don't want this kind of mechanic in JJS. Here's the thing. Jujutsu Shenanigans doesn't have that whole knock the opponent back thing that most Battleground games have, and I think it needs to stay that way, because it's adding a whole new kind of type of combo extender, like the one that you combo extend your forward dash. It shouldn't be there. Like, it doesn't fit with the game. It's just out of place. So rather than having that whole knockback into a forward dash kind of thing, I feel like it should just combo extend, if that's what they're going for. But even then, with the whole combo extending thing, Nanami already has too many combo extenders. His 1 move is a combo extender already. His 2 move makes it really easy to just land another forward dash or confirm 1. And then now you're giving him a free combo extender as well. He has so many ways to combo that it's pretty insane. This is a really strong character. Way too strong, though, for sure. Finally, as for the 4 move, it's called Riptide. 15-second cooldown, so average, but as for what the move actually does, you crouch down, indicating a startup, before you glide on the ground, similar to Collapse, while you outstretch your hand. And you're able to rip and tear through your opponents, which ragdolls them. Judging from the description of that, it's kind of vague, but it seems like a sort of a dash forward that ragdolls people that you hit. It says block value positive, meaning that it's probably blockable, but your opponent can't unblock and punish you for it. On positive, meaning that you can M1 them after you use this move and they block. As for the variant with ratio technique, if you use it with ratio technique, Nanami can't freely move the move, but it will stun the opponent, letting Nanami dash at the opponent to further attack them. So basically, you just dash in a straight line instead, like, in exchange for that, you stun the opponent, meaning that this is a move variant that you're going to use in combos. And, like, this is kind of what I wanted from the ratio technique, where it's different versions of the same move that you use for different situations. This is an actual example of what I kind of want from this ratio technique that the author introduced. But another criticism I have, despite them saying combo value ender, it stuns the opponent, allowing Nanami to dash the opponent to further attack them. That's not a combo ender, that's a combo extender. So some of these things they list below there are wrong. Yeah, this is 1, 2, 3 combo extenders total. That's ridiculous. Pretty much every single Jujutsu Shenanigans character only has one combo extender. Choso's a bit of a weird area where he doesn't have any M1 combo extenders, but in exchange for that, pretty much all of his moves combo into each other. Same with Gojo to an extent. Having 3 combo extenders is just way too much, because then you're just shredding your opponent, you do way too much damage, and even if you nerf Nanami's damage value so that he's only doing around a standard 50 damage per combo, that's still a problem, because then you, like, it doesn't feel rewarding to land his moves because you're dealing so little damage, and all of that damage comes from using, like, doing a full combo where you're doing 3 moves in a single combo. That's problematic. As for the other part of why that's a bad thing, nobody wants to sit through a combo for, like, a whole freaking minute. The more combo extenders you add, the longer a combo can go on for, and that's really boring if you're in the middle of it. Because here's the thing with these kind of games that are aptly called stun simulators. If you're the one getting comboed, it's not fun. You're basically not playing the game. And so, to make up for that while still having combos, you usually keep the combos short. You don't give characters too many combo extenders so you don't have to, like, sit through some extended cutscene just watching yourself get beat up on screen. And if you give a character too many combo extenders like this, then that goes away. You have to sit through a whole combo, and it's really annoying because you're locked out of playing the game for so long. A lot of criticisms for the base, it's just way too powerful. Even with the 85 HP limitation, 3 combos extenders is ridiculous. The debuffs make it some moves impossible to counter. And the cooldowns are really short, which is not justified with how powerful these moves are. He is not Hikari where he's extremely limited. Like, those low cooldowns are justified because he's basically crippled. He doesn't have a lot of good neutral options like Hikari. No, this character, Nanami, he has great neutral, just reading off the suggestions, so you can't really justify low cooldowns like this, 10-second cooldowns, here. As for the Awakening, on pawn pressing G, Nanami will immediately go into overtime rather than having to fulfill a requirement for it. However, to make this more unique than base overtime, it'll apply an increase of 130% to his damage, rather than 110%, while also raising his health to 100. Interesting. A 130% damage boost is crazy. Also raising his health to 100, I don't know that's necessary if you're already giving him a 130% damage boost. Like, and usually health doesn't really matter that much in Awakenings either, since you're usually not taking damage unless it's Awakening versus Awakening. Yeah, a 130% damage boost. I don't know why they opted for that specifically over just making his moves do more damage, so yeah, a questionable decision, honestly, but we'll just redo the rest of the suggestion and I can make my decision from there. The first Awakening move is called Collapse. You sprint forward at high speeds, much like skating on ice, so kind of like Overwhelming Ruck. After which, he initiates a short hop, follows it up with a forward jab as his aura flows outwards from his fist, and if an opponent is hit, they will be stunned, so it's a combo starter. If you use it with the ratio technique, the attack will be majorly strengthened, and if an opponent is hit, they're knocked back, so deals a lot of damage, rather than being stunned. So damage over a combo extender, that's probably worse, but I still like it this way because then you get the choice between, do you want a combo starter or do you want a lot of damage? Anyways, if a building is hit, it will be shredded into a multitude of blocks that can fall down on an opponent and crush them. So the ratio technique here is pretty situational. If you have a building near you, you want to use it, and to get all of that damage from the collapse technique. But if you don't have a building, like say you're in ranked, and you just want to use a normal non-ratio version, so that you just get a combo starter. I like this move, seems pretty nice. Actually fits pretty well for an Awakening, in my opinion. Now, as for this 2 move, it's called Devastating Blow. Upon using 2, Nanami sprints forward at high speeds with his cleaver in hand. If the move is pressed again, Nanami initiates a short hop, after which he 2-hands his cleaver, and sends a powerful strike aimed at the opponent's head, slamming them into the ground, which in turn ragdolls them to be sent upwards into the air? Confusing a little bit, how are you slamming them into the ground and then sending them upwards into the air? Maybe like it's a Toad thing where you just slam them and they bounce off the ground, which is what I'm assuming is here. So if that's the case, then it's just another rushdown move, where you basically just rush, and if you make contact with someone, you grab them and hit them for a ragdoll. Since it ragdolls them really close to you, you can probably combo this into your other moves, so combo starter basically. And as for the second variant, if you use it with ratio technique, the attack will slam the opponent in a manner similar to an M1 down slam, meaning attacks can be used on the opponent while in this state. What? That's what confuses me here. Both variants seem to ragdoll the person. Like, the only difference being that the first one sends them into the air like an uppercut, and this one seems to just do a down slam. So it's kind of weird. The only thing that seems different here is if the opponent blocks the attack, it disables their block. So, I mean, if you can predict how your opponent plays and like know that they're gonna block, then you can get a big reward off of using the ratio technique. But other than that, I really don't see any difference. Like, an uppercut, there's no difference between ragdolls in this game except for like how long they stun you for. Like the difference between the stun on a forward dash ragdoll and the stun on a down slam ragdoll. So I don't see what they mean by attacks to be used on an opponent while in this state. A ragdoll is a ragdoll. You can hit them with ragdoll hitting moves if they're ragdolled. So kind of a weird description here, but I mean, as for how the move works itself, ignoring the confusing bit of wordplay here, it's fine. Rush down move, helps you chase after runners so that your awakening doesn't get stalled. So I'm personally fine with it. Don't see a problem in how it works exactly. Just really confused by like the difference between the variants, because it doesn't seem like there is one besides you getting the debuff that disables their block. Which, and again, I feel like that debuff's stupid, but I digress. As for the third move, it's called Brutal Bash. Upon using 3, you strike the opponent with a backhand nonchalantly, knocking them back greatly in a manner similar to Forceful Drive, all while making quick work. So it's just a close hand move where you hit them and then knock them back away. Seems like just a generic combo ender. Normally I'd be against that in an Awakening, but since you have a combo starter as one of your moves, then it's not that hard to land it. Only problem with this is I feel like it's kind of boring. Just like a straight up hit them move, it feels really boring. Like for an Awakening, it just seems really underwhelming to just have a move that's just used in combos where you just hit the opponent and knock them away. Like there's probably more that can be done for a third move than just hitting the opponent up close and then knocking them away. As for the second variant, if you use it with the ratio technique, once the opponent is knocked away, you appear in front of a flash and you deliver a powerful jab to them. If an opponent is knocked into the wall with this, then they'll crash through it. Well, most moves that have like a sort of push do that anyways. I mean, I think that's basically just extra damage, so not really a crazy variant, though I guess it makes it easier to follow up, kind of like Gojo's R variant if you use it on someone in the air. So, personally works fine with me. I just feel like it's kind of boring for a 3 move, because it's just a move that you use when your opponent's in your combo after you've used like your 1. Like, it builds fine into the Awakening, it's just not that crazy. It just feels too basic, is what I'm saying. Finally, for the 4 move, upon using 4, Nanami initiates his attack with a simple slash, utilizing his cleaver, following up by a forward jab from the fist, knocking the opponent slightly. So, if you get a combo, you use this move, basically like the 3 move, and then you do like a whole cutscene kind of attack. That's what I'm getting from this. He then leaps forward, running his fist, after which he delivers a head-on blow to the opponent that ragdolls him frontward. Then you reel your fist back in while crunching down, lunging forward at rapid speed, catching the opponent mid-air to land a final hit that shreds them apart and knocking them back greatly. If 4 or LMB is pressed 0.2 seconds before any of these hits, it'll do a black flash, so another skill check. And a full black flash of this move will result in the attacks combined one-shotting the opponent. I personally don't like this. First reason I don't like it, it's opportunity cost. I mean, yes, there's 40-second cooldown, so you're not going to get to use this more than once in your Awakening, most likely. So, I mean, it's not a problem once you've used the move, but the way you land this move is so similar to the 3, unless there's like some startup that I'm missing. Doesn't seem like it, because he says simple slash, and then for the 3 move, it's a backhand. But like, it pretty much invalidates the 3 move until you've used this 4th move, because if you get into an opportunity like where you have a combo on someone and you can use this move, you're going to want to use that anyways. This is just a better version of the 3 move. Same way to land it, except you're doing way more damage. You can even one-shot someone. And speaking of a one-shot, it's definitely a bit much. Especially if like the way to one-shot is just a skill check. So any good player who lands this is going to be able to one-shot someone. But yeah, think about, like, it's too easy to land as a one-shot. Like, think about Plasma Wave. That move has to be set up really well, and in order to one-shot it, you have to like really well predict where your opponent's going to go, or your opponent has to be really stupid. Here, the way you land this one-shot is use your 1 move, And now that you've got a combo, M1 them 3 times, press your 4 button, and now you've one-shot your opponent. Congratulations, you win. You see the problem there? It's that it's way too easy to land this one-shot. There's no difficulty in setting it up. It's just get an M1 combo and you land the move. Other ultimates like domain expansions or Mahoraga, you have to actually set them up properly. You have to land like one of your ragdolls or get an uppercut in order to do them, because otherwise it's going to be interrupted due to the large startup. But here they don't specify that there's any large startup. They even hint that it's not a large startup since they say simple slash. So yeah, it feels way too easy to land this move for it being the ultimate. As for the second variant, oh, there is no second variant, but the ratio technique can still be applied to attacks, even combined with Black Flashes. If you pull all four hits with Black Flash and ratio technique, then I applaud you. So there's no point, basically. 2 types of skill checks, that neither of which really matter. Oh no, both of them matter, but like, only the Black Flash one matters. If you land all your Black Flashes, you just deal more damage. So the ratio technique doesn't really matter here. Not a big deal. I mean, it's an ultimate anyways. So you're still getting the skill check. It's not like this adds anything. My main criticism of this ultimate move, in a nutshell, is that it's way too easy to land for the ult. And also, like for a one-shot specifically, it's just way too easy to land. Should be something special. And also, it basically invalidates the 3 move because of how the way you land it is the same. M1 into it. As a whole, this Nanami suggestion feels way too strong in some aspects, though I do find a lot of the ideas really interesting. I don't like the TSP dash extender thing because JJS does not do that, and it would be adding a whole new type of extender to the game. And some of the debuffs, paired with the move abilities, also just feel way too powerful. Maybe I'm being a killjoy and worrying too much about balance, but there's some stuff here that's just too strong, and an ultimate that's also way too easy to land when you compare it to all the other ultimates in the game that you need to set up properly, and a lot of descriptions that feel too vague to accurately pinpoint stuff like startup or the like that matter a lot. It's not a terrible suggestion, and it absolutely is creative, but I do take issue with some of the design choices. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching this video, then make sure to subscribe for even more JJS content. I'm Noob Eternally, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.